Janine in the studio tonight. Beth is 20 and from Stockport. Good evening, Beth.
Hello.
I wish I was 20. And Janine is Beth's mum.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for coming in. You're here to raise awareness of a condition, Beth, that you have that not many other people do have.
Yeah.
Explain just a little bit what it is.
It's a neurological illness that comes in episodes. And when an episode happens, I will sleep for up to 22 hours a day.
The most you've slept is 22 hours, yeah.
It's often known as sort of the Sleeping Beauty syndrome, isn't it?
It is, but we'd like to try and... We don't particularly like that.
No, because it's too nice. It glamorises it. It's not a fairy tale, is it?
No, it's more like a nightmare.
Yeah. Just a tiny little snippet of you, Beth, when you're in one of your episodes as well, because you go childlike, don't you?
Yeah, everything about me goes childlike, like my voice and my mannerisms and my speech.
Right, this is just a tiny little bit of you.
Yeah.
I like it here.
Yeah, no, it's nice, isn't it?
It's not really cold.
It's a little tiny bit, isn't it?
It's not.
Isn't it?
And even your mum alters because you're having to treat her like a little girl.
Yeah, you do. You have to, and the way you speak to them and the way you act with them, it's got to be really simple and basically like a 5-year-old child.
Yeah. And how often do these attacks occur?
For every person it's different, but for me, it really differs. Like the first year I had it, I was hardly ever out of the episode, and my first episode was 6 months long. But in summer, when the nicer weather, it normally comes to about, I'll have like 4 weeks free and then a week-long episode, and it kind of normally goes in a routine, but
You don't chart it then?
Sometimes, but it can come whenever, like unexpectedly.
Okay, we're going to find out much more about it and speak to someone too from a support network as well. So Beth and Janine Goody are in the studio with us. We've still got Andrew. Read that on the KLS Support UK site that there was a Facebook page privately set up for sufferers. Worldwide it has just 160 members, which I say because it's just a reflection of how rare it must be.
Yeah, I think in the UK there's about 44 people.
Something like that. I'm not clear on numbers.
Yeah.
I think Adele will probably be able to clear invest on that.
But essentially it's just an indication of just how
It
unusual.
is very rare. I think it's like one to two per million. I think that's the figures I've read anyway.
All right, much more to come on that. Keep your messages rare. In that when a support group was established, as I was saying earlier, and formed this Facebook site so sufferers and families could share information, only 160 members worldwide, so I read. Adele Clark is from KLS Support UK. Adele, thanks for joining us tonight.
It's a pleasure. Hello.
Your daughter has it too, Adele.
Yes, she does, yeah.
So you very much empathise with what Beth and Janine go through.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, she's just come out of a 5-week episode, my daughter. So, yes, it's very current for me at the moment.
And how long has she been suffering?
She's 24 now, and it started for her when she was 17, when she was doing her A-levels. And totally out of the blue.
How old were you, Beth, when yours started?
I was nearly 17, just coming up to my 17th birthday.
Is that a significant factor, the age? Is that when it seems to begin?
It can start at any age, but primarily it's adolescence. Is that right, Adele?
Yes, I think so, yeah. Most people it starts in adolescence, yeah.
And how long did it take for you to get a diagnosis?
It took us just over 3 years. We saw 10 different doctors because they have to eliminate all sorts of other things before they can diagnose KLS. But actually, a lot of doctors didn't know. You know, we saw a lot of doctors who didn't recognise it. It's such a rare illness.
And when it first came on and first manifested itself, can you just explain what happened? Because it must have been terrifying as a mum to witness your 17-year-old going through that.
Yes, I mean, she was rushed into hospital several times. You know, they thought maybe it was encephalitis or a brain tumour or, you know, awful things like that. And one by one, all those things were eliminated. So, yeah, she just went into a comatose state and slept 23 hours of every 24 and had no expression on her face. I couldn't get her to understand me. She couldn't talk. it was very frightening, extremely frightening.
Janine's nodding along
Yeah,
with
it was
Beth as well.
exactly the same for us. You know, we took Beth to A&E 5 times before they admitted her. But when they did, it was test after test after test. You know, primarily they thought it was encephalitis or a brain tumour.
And was it when you take them, going in and out of hospital, Beth, is that when you are well as you are now, or is that when you are within the episodes?
It's within episodes.
Well, she's only went in at the beginning because obviously she went into this state and was sleeping and was confused and hallucinating, and we didn't have a clue what it was, and that was really quite terrifying. So it was at that point that we took her to the hospital, and it was then that they admitted her and did the test.
And how long did that first episode last?
That episode lasted for 6 months.
That very first one was a long one.
Yeah.
And that has been the longest. I just can't imagine what it must be like, because obviously you have no idea that it is going to end.
No, you don't know when it's going to start, so you can't plan anything because you don't know when you're going to get ill, and then you're in it, you don't know how long it's going to last. Now, I've never had an episode as long as the 6 months, but every time I have an episode, I'm terrified that it's going to last for another month.
Are you aware of when an episode is likely to come on?
Most of the time I'll get extremely tired, and one of the symptoms of KLS is compulsive eating. So it's got like a different type of hunger, and it's a different type of tiredness, and I normally get them like the day before. But
you can see it building up.
Yeah.
And we call it a KLS face, where she goes very, very pale with big black panda rings, we call them.
Like Adele's just been saying with her daughter. Also almost like a catatonic state.
My eyes look almost like glazed over.
Yeah.
But I have gone into episodes in the middle of a club because I've not known that they're going to come on. But most of the time I do know I can
So it can be that rapid, the onset?
Yeah. It has done. Normally we recognise the signs, and normally we get a little bit of warning nowadays, but occasionally it has just been like a click of the fingers.
And again, that familiar to you, Adele, as part of the KLS Support UK, this is what other people say?
Yes, some people do. I mean, for my daughter, she can recognise it happening. She has 24 hours of what's called derealisation, where nothing feels real, and she'll start to say to me, "Mummy, my head feels funny, I don't feel right," and I can see then from the expression on her face, like Janine just described, you know, it goes within 24 hours, and within 24 hours she'll be sleeping, you know, right out of it. But that's the first thing, the derealisation for her.
What do you call that?
It's called derealisation.
Derealisation.
Nothing feels real. It feels like they're trapped in a dream, and they can't, you know, nothing feels real. Their senses are all heightened. It's very, very odd.
I literally, when people say, "Oh, I feel like," people take it as I kind of feel a bit like airy, but I literally, before I go into an actual episode, I can't remember much from episodes, so I can't speak for that. But when I get like the derealisation before I go into an episode, I literally don't know whether I'm dreaming. I have to try and work out whether I am or not.
When she's in an episode, she'll often say to me, she'll get quite distressed, say, "Is it a dream? Is it a dream? Or is it a nightmare?" Because she can't work out. Sorry, Adele.
Go on, Adele.
Sorry, yes, Lily will say to me, "Am I dead or am I alive?" She can't tell whether she's dead or alive in an episode. It's very frightening.
Does Lily, do you, Beth, you've just said you don't remember much about the episodes. Do you remember anything about being in them, given that they last for so long?
I remember vague things, or my mum, I won't remember something on my own, but my mum will say, "Oh, do you remember this?" And I remember it. I more remember that I know it's happened, but I can't remember it actually happening. Like from my 6-month episode, it seems like roughly the snippets I can remember, it would equal about a week. So from where I was meant to have 6 months of my life, I can remember literally vague memories of about a week.
I'm about to play a 30-second clip of you when you're in an episode. How long ago was this recorded, Janine?
This was not this last winter, the winter before, and it had been snowing, and she hadn't been outside, and she wanted to see the snow, so I took her outside in the snow, and this is when we recorded it.
You were 18 years old then?
Yeah.
18,
yeah,
right.
She was.
Feet are wet, but they're not.
No, it's just because
They're actually dry, but they're wet.
With some snow not walked on yet, nice crunchy snow. There, and there, that's a good bit. Oh, does he like it? Is it, sweetie? There's some nice snow if you like nice snow.
Beth, how does that make you feel when you hear yourself as a little girl again?
It's strange, like, I feel almost, I suppose I have to, I don't know, I think to cope, I try to not let myself, like, it's just something that happens, it's part of me, but it is quite heartbreaking. Like, I don't watch things or anything because I find it hard to see myself in an episode, because it's completely different, and I think also because I don't remember any of it, it's really weird for me to see because it completely strips your identity. Like, I'm really into fashion and makeup and stuff.
And you look like you are as well. I mean, you're just a great looking 20-year-old young woman, who obviously in these episodes is just completely, it's like you completely regress.
Yeah, and as well along with that, I can't get out of bed, I can't shower. It literally strips your like whole identity because you become this whole other kind of person.
Which is essentially why you would want to completely debunk any myths about it being a sleeping beauty syndrome. This is not about just the sleep, is it?
No, we find that the cognitive deterioration, the worst, the confusion, she gets very, very confused, she becomes very literal and quite disinhibited at times. She'll use language she doesn't normally use, and become quite agitated and quite distressed
and aggressive.
Sometimes.
Are all these familiar symptoms, Adele?
Yes, absolutely, yes. And a lot of people say the same thing. And having just been through a 5-week episode with my daughter, yes, it's exactly the same.
We're talking about young women here, Lily and Beth, but have you known it to suddenly onset with anyone of adult age? And presumably there are young men that suffer it too.
Yes, there are boys that have it. It's probably an equal number in the UK of boys and girls. We have had the odd person who it has happened to, people, a man of 55, someone in their 30s. It has happened, but it's more rare. It's more common for it to happen in adolescence. Yeah. And it's the split's about 50-50 with boys and girls.
And the hardest parts to cope with, the cognitive...
We find, there's a big deal made out of the sleep and the eating in the media. And
that's the easy part, that's the quite relieving part.
It's a massive part of the illness, but it is the easy part. I always say she's better off sleeping when she's getting so confused and distressed.
Yeah, the worst bit's when they're awake, because they are very, very upset and agitated. In our house, we have to have the lights down, we have to have no noise. Well, I can't have any visitors for the whole duration. Anything unfamiliar will really agitate her and make her really upset and scared.
Adele, stay there, because we've got some music to come, but there are some more questions I'd love through all the medical opinion. You must have seen a lot of doctors in your time.
Yeah.
Do they class it as a physical or a mental illness?
It's a neurological illness, so it's
organic.
Your brain's poorly, so I would guess that's a medical illness.
Have they tried lots and lots of different drugs on your back?
Yeah, definitely. KLSs are a bit of a guinea pig because they don't know what to use. So I've tried stuff for things like epilepsy and things like that, which affect the brain, but in a different way because they just try what they can.
Yeah, but nothing so far you think has made any difference. Adele, how is research doing into Kleine Levin syndrome?
Well, currently there isn't any UK research happening. There is some research happening in America, and they're looking into autoimmune causes and metabolic causes. Something happens to reduce the blood supply to the hypothalamus in the brain. So it is a very physical thing. It's not a mental thing. It's not a mental illness. It's a physical illness. And it also throws people's body temperature as well, and affects their appetite and all that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, because... Sorry,
Beth.
I was going to say, because the hypothalamus is the thing that controls like temperature and food and sleep and sexual drive, and the
Your
water
basic
levels.
instincts, I think, yeah.
So we're a long way from establishing anything concrete, though, Adele.
Yes. I mean, we'd love to get research going in the UK, but at the moment it's not happening. It's obviously it needs funding, and we have tried. We have applied for research grants that haven't been successful yet.
You must get very frustrated.
Yes, very frustrated. And at the moment there are around 100 people in the UK with KLS. Since we started the charity, we've managed to locate more people. And I'm sure there's a lot more people out there who are misdiagnosed with other illnesses. Yeah. Like my daughter was misdiagnosed with other illnesses, chronic fatigue or illnesses like that, when it's actually not chronic fatigue and not ME or,
how much of a relief was it to find and have that diagnosis that you could pin to what was happening?
For me, it was massive because we'd literally spent almost 4 years and we were getting no answers at all. And I actually read an article about another girl who has KLS, and when I read the article, I knew instantly that's what it was. And then through that, we managed to locate doctors in London who knew about KLS. So it was a massive relief because once you know what it is, you know that what you're doing instinctively is the right thing to look after your child in an episode. I had awful things like doctors saying to me, you should throw cold water on her to wake her up, and try and bring her round. And actually, that's just totally the wrong thing. Yeah. The brain is very sick and it needs to rest in an episode. And that's all. You've just got to keep their environment very familiar and keep them just feeling safe and just keep them safe and try to keep them calm when they're very agitated and upset.
Yeah, and you can't leave them at home. It's 24-hour care because they're so unpredictable.
You've got a toddler again, but in an adult-sized body, which again has the added pressures.
Yeah. So it is literally 24-hour care. She becomes quite unpredictable.
I get urges as well, so I could see something and then I'll have an urge to do something like...
I found Beth trying to get outside, wandering outside in her pyjamas in the middle of the night. All sorts of things you've done, haven't you?
Yeah.
You do. You just have to keep a close eye on them.
Yeah. So you're back to sleep with the sleepless nights and...
Usually once she's asleep, there'll be no waking her then. It's then times when she's awake that you need to keep an eye on her.
Adele, I'm about to ask Janine, because she wants to give a plug, and rightly so, to those doing fundraising to get more attention to it. But, as someone who is heavily involved in KLS Support UK, Adele, what is it that you would like to see being done?
Well, we'd love to get some UK research going. That's our biggest goal. I mean, what we do is we provide a meeting once a year for people. So we've got our next meeting on the 14th of September in London, and a lot of the families will come then. And we're our medical advisors, who are from the Lifespan Sleep Disorder Service at Guy's and St Thomas's. They will come and speak and talk to us about what the latest things they're looking into, and we just try and provide support. But our biggest goal really is to try and get some research going so that these children can have a medication that's going to work.
What's the prognosis for Lily and for you, Beth? How do you see your life progressing?
Well,
that's a massive question, isn't it?
Well, I had everything lined up. I knew what I wanted to do and knew what I wanted as my job and everything, and then all of a sudden I got this illness that I had never heard of before. It's completely changed my life. I've dropped out of college 4 times and I can't get a job because I'm just ill all the time. But I'm hoping KLS generally, they think as you get older, as the time of it goes on, you can kind of grow out of it after about 15 years. Yeah, so I'm hoping in the future I'll no longer have episodes. I'll have them.
Or your episodes will become shorter.
Yeah,
or less frequent. I think if the frequency could be less frequent for Beth, then she could get some semblance of a life.
Yeah, and I can start having.
And for Lily,
and also it's about managing their lives as well, because once you know that you have KLS, there are certain triggers which will bring on episodes. Alcohol's a big one, being very overtired is another one. I don't know, stress, can also, you know, the combination of those together can bring on an episode. I mean, Lily hadn't had an episode for 3 years, and I think she was working very hard. She was overtired, and she was very stressed, and I think that's what brought on this last episode.
So she's managed to go through uni, hasn't she?
She has. It was a real struggle. I mean, you know, she missed a lot of uni, and she was lucky she could catch up on work and do it through the summer holidays, and, you know, it was tough for her, really tough. So yeah, she's managed to get her degree, but she's had to change what she wanted to do, you know, with her career, to fit in with what, you know, being ill.
Yeah.
So they do have, you know, it does affect their lives massively.
All right, listen, Adele, thanks for joining us. If anyone wants more information, if they just look KLS Support UK up in a search engine, they'll find you, won't they?
Yes, they will, and all the information's on the website.
All right, thanks for joining us. That's Adele Clark from KLS Support UK. And as for you too, Beth, you've just described very briefly about, you know, the brakes that it has put on your life, and you shouldn't have brakes being put on your life when you...
No, it's like the
20.
year when you're finding yourself and developing who you want to be as a person. And
You've mentioned your boyfriend.
yeah.
Is that... you know, it must put pressures on every area of your life.
Definitely. Friendship. I've lost friends. People can be very judgmental about it. Like Adele was saying with doctors, I've had doctors say to me, "Oh, you need to act your age, stop being a dramatic teenager," kind of thing. And it's my brain is ill in the same way any other illness. Of like, I can't think of any, but like any in your body,
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. Like if you break your leg, obviously it's a lot worse, but it's in your body.
It's all, yeah, see, there's no outward sign that your brain needs a bandage around it.
No, that's one of the hardest things to deal with, is the invisible illness, because people see me and don't expect me to be ill, and then like it's hard to get.
Have you got any short-term plans? You like your singing, I've seen you on YouTube.
Yeah, I do music. I kind of just do things because I can't make plans for my future, because I can't. So,
But that's not a forever thing.
Yeah.
She hopes one day, it's just an on-hold thing, she hopes one day to get back on path,
so
don't you?
at the moment I do things to like try and be productive, like my music, and I've got a blog like about
Started a
my
blog
illness.
about KLS.
Okay, what's your blog called? then?
It's www.wivsblog.com.
Whilst I was sleeping.
Yeah, whilst I was sleeping.
Yeah.
And it's about basically living with the illness and different things.
So it's